Have you ever gone to bed feeling fine only to wake up 3 or 4 times in the middle of the night just to pee? Maybe you've brushed it off thinking it's just old age, right? But here's a little secret I've learned after working with seniors for over 30 years. Not all of these changes are normal, and many of them are preventable. Let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like your bladder runs your life? You plan trips based on bathroom stops. You skip drinking water because you're afraid you'll have to go too often, or maybe you've been waking up more and more at night feeling tired, achy, and unrested in the morning. Sound familiar? As a prostate doctor, I can't tell you how many men I've seen who assume this is just part of aging, but it's not always your age. In fact, there's one simple daily habit that I've seen wreak havoc on men's health, especially their prostate, without them even realizing it. It's something so common you might be doing it right now, and it's quietly causing your prostate to swell and your bathroom visits to multiply. That's why today we need to talk about a habit that's far more dangerous than people give it credit for, and more importantly, how to break it in a way that feels easy, doable, and powerful. Because when it comes to prostate health, knowledge is power, but action is freedom. So let's talk about that one sneaky habit that's silently stressing your prostate every single day, sitting for too long without moving. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Doc. I'm retired. Of course I sit more than I used to. And you're not alone. After 60, most people naturally spend more time in their chairs, whether it's reading, watching TV, or relaxing after a lifetime of hard work. But here's the problem. Your body isn't built to stay still for hours. And your prostate, it really hates it. See, when you sit for extended periods, especially on soft couches or recliners, it compresses the pelvic area, the very zone where your prostate lives. Think of your pelvic floor like a little hammock of muscles that supports your bladder bowel and, yes, your prostate. When your active blood flows easily through this region, keeping tissues oxygenated, nerves healthy, and muscles responsive. But when you stay seated for long stretches, you're putting pressure on that delicate area. That pressure reduces circulation, and without proper blood flow, inflammation builds up. Over time, this can cause swelling, discomfort, and you guessed it, enlargement of the prostate. I remember one patient, Mr. Caldwell, who came in frustrated. He was 72, healthy otherwise, but kept waking up 5 times a night. He was cutting back on water, avoiding tea, and still it got worse. After a simple conversation, we discovered the real issue. He was spending 6 to 8 hours a day in his recliner, only getting up during commercials. The solution: we created a 15-minute rule. Every 15 minutes, he had to get up, stretch, or take a few steps. Just something small to get his body moving again. Within 2 weeks, his symptoms began to ease. Within 2 months, he was sleeping longer at night with fewer interruptions and with 0 medication. Why does this work so well? Because movement is medicine. Not the kind you swallow, but the kind you live. Gentle walking, stretching your legs, even standing while folding laundry. These small shifts get blood moving through your pelvis again. And when circulation improves, inflammation drops. When inflammation drops, your prostate can begin to calm down. Your bladder gets relief, your nerves stop firing false alarms, and you start to feel like you're in control again. But I want to be clear, I'm not asking you to train for a marathon. I'm not telling you to buy gym equipment or start some painful exercise program. What I'm saying is that you already have the solution: your own legs. You just need to use them more often. In fact, here's a trick I've shared with dozens of patients. Every time you sit down, set a timer for 30 minutes. When it rings, stand up and do one thing: walk to the kitchen, refill your water glass, stretch your arms, or just walk a lap around the living room. That's it. You don't need a treadmill. You don't need fancy gear. You just need to move. Some people tell me, but I feel tired. Movement sounds exhausting. And I get that. But often the fatigue you feel is from stagnation. When your circulation is slow, your energy drops. But when you start moving even a little, it's like waking up parts of your body that have been napping for too long. And here's the bonus: when you move more, you sleep better. That's right. One of the biggest causes of insomnia and nighttime urination in seniors isn't just the bladder or the prostate, it's poor circulation and a lack of physical activity during the day. So in a way, your feet are the key to your prostate. Walk a little more during the day and you may find yourself waking up a lot less at night. Let me leave you with this thought. Aging doesn't have to mean suffering. It doesn't have to mean giving up your comfort or freedom. Sometimes it just means making smarter choices, ones your younger self didn't need, but your wiser self understands. So if you've been sitting for too long today, take this as your signal. Stand up, take a few steps, reclaim your health 1 minute at a time. Your prostate will thank you, and so will your future self. Now that we've gotten you on your feet, literally, let's talk about another everyday habit that often flies under the radar, but causes just as much stress to your prostate: not drinking enough water. I know, that sounds strange, doesn't it? You'd think cutting back on fluids would help reduce those constant trips to the bathroom. And many seniors do just that. They drink less during the day, especially in the evening, hoping to sleep through the night without interruption. But here's the twist: this habit may actually be making your symptoms worse, not better. You see, when your body doesn't get enough water, your urine becomes concentrated. It gets darker, thicker, and much more irritating to the bladder and, yes, the prostate. Imagine pouring a thick, sticky liquid through a narrow tube. It's going to cause friction, irritation, maybe even damage over time. Now think about what happens when this concentrated urine sits in your bladder. The bladder becomes more reactive, sending false alarms even when it's not full. That triggers more bathroom trips, more urgency, and over time more inflammation in the entire urinary system. Your prostate sits right under the bladder, almost like a cushion. When the bladder is stressed, swollen, or overworked, it pushes down on the prostate, and guess what? That tissue starts to react. It gets swollen, tender, inflamed. It's a quiet chain reaction, and it all begins with dehydration. But that's not all. Chronic dehydration slows down your body's natural detox system. Toxins stay in your system longer, your kidneys and urinary tract have to work harder, and when the whole system is under pressure, the prostate is often one of the first areas to show distress. A patient of mine once said, "I didn't want to drink water because I was tired of peeing all the time," and I completely understood. But after we changed his routine, adding small sips of water throughout the day instead of large gulps at once, his urgency dropped, his nighttime wake-ups decreased, and he actually started sleeping through the night. That's the trick. Don't flood yourself. Just flow. Try keeping a small glass of water nearby and taking a few sips every hour or so. Your goal isn't to drink gallons, it's to stay gently hydrated. A good rule of thumb: if your urine is light yellow or nearly clear, you're on the right track. And if you're worried about drinking too much before bed, stop fluids about 2 hours before you sleep. But don't skip hydration all day just to avoid one trip at night. That's like starving yourself all day so you won't have to cook dinner. You're punishing your body for trying to function. Hydration isn't just about comfort, it's a shield. One of the most natural, free, and powerful ways to calm your bladder, soothe your prostate, and protect your whole urinary system. Now let's turn our attention to something that almost every senior enjoys, and rightfully so, but might not realize is harming their prostate more than helping it: too much caffeine. Let me be clear, I'm not anti-coffee. I love the smell of a fresh cup brewing in the morning just as much as anyone else. But if you're drinking 2, 3, or more cups of coffee or strong tea each day, and especially if you're sipping late into the afternoon, it might be time to take a closer look. Here's why: caffeine is a stimulant and a diuretic. That means it triggers your kidneys to produce more urine, often before your bladder is ready. It also increases bladder muscle activity, which can make you feel like you urgently need to go, sometimes with little warning. If your prostate is already slightly enlarged or inflamed, caffeine acts like a loud neighbor who shows up uninvited and stays too long. It irritates, it agitates, and it makes your bladder shout when it should whisper. One man I worked with had no idea his 3 cups of afternoon black tea were contributing to his constant sense of urgency. He thought it was just his age catching up to him. But after we switched him to herbal tea after lunchtime, things started to change. Within a week, he noticed a difference in how often he had to go and how urgently he felt the need. Caffeine also tightens the muscles in the bladder neck, making it harder for your body to empty fully. That leftover urine sits in your bladder, causing irritation, infection risk, and you guessed it, more pressure on the prostate. I'm not asking you to give up your coffee completely, but I am inviting you to notice the pattern. Does your urgency spike after your 2nd or 3rd cup? Do you find yourself more restless at night after drinking tea or soda? If so, consider reducing your intake or switching to decaf after your 1st cup. Even better, try warm water with lemon or soothing teas like chamomile or rooibos. They don't just taste great, they actively calm the bladder and reduce inflammation. A small change like that can create big relief. Finally, let's talk about something that hides in plain sight: sitting quietly on your plate, spicy and processed foods. Now, I love a flavorful meal. Who doesn't? A little chili, some sausage, a rich stew. It brings comfort, tradition, even joy. But if you're eating highly spiced meals or packaged foods regularly, your prostate might be paying the price. Spicy ingredients can irritate the lining of your bladder and prostate. That's especially true if you already have mild inflammation. It's like rubbing salt in a small cut. It doesn't take much to make things worse. Processed foods are even sneakier. They're packed with sodium preservatives and unhealthy fats. All of these ingredients stir up internal inflammation, disrupt your hormone balance, and encourage weight gain, all of which are key risk factors for an enlarged prostate. One of the easiest ways to support your prostate is simply this: eat real food. Fresh vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, fruits like berries and apples, healthy fats like olive oil or avocado. These are natural anti-inflammatory warriors. I once had a patient who switched from eating frozen dinners every night to cooking 2 fresh meals a week. Just 2. And his urinary issues began to ease within a month. It's not about going from drive-through to kale overnight. It's about adding more healing choices and letting your body feel the difference. Your meals don't have to be boring to be healthy. They just need to nourish you, not irritate you. Let's keep going. We've talked about sitting too much, not drinking enough water, too much caffeine, and inflammatory foods. But there's one more factor that many seniors overlook, a quiet force that, in my experience, can have just as much of an impact on your prostate as diet or activity levels. And that's chronic stress. Now, I know stress isn't exactly a habit in the traditional sense. But let me tell you, holding on to stress every day, letting it live in your body, your thoughts, and even in your posture becomes a physical pattern. And for your prostate, that pattern is dangerous. When you're under stress, whether it's from financial concerns, loneliness, health worries, or even family tension, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. In small doses, it helps you deal with danger. But when it stays elevated day after day, it leads to inflammation throughout the body. And where does inflammation often settle in aging men? You guessed it, the prostate. Stress also affects your nervous system and muscles. It tightens your pelvic area just like sitting too long does. Blood flow gets restricted, muscles tense up, and all of that pressure, it lands right on your bladder and prostate. I've had patients come in after a divorce, after losing a loved one, or even during a period of caregiving stress, and suddenly they were dealing with increased urinary frequency, urgency, and even pain. No change in diet, no new medications, just stress. And here's the kicker: stress also lowers your immune system. That means your body can't fight off low-level inflammation or infection as easily as before. So once your prostate starts to swell, it takes longer to heal. The solution isn't to eliminate stress completely. That's impossible. But what you can do is change your relationship with it. Start small. Try deep breathing for 5 minutes every morning. Put on calming music while you stretch your legs. Take a walk without your phone. Laugh more. Watch that old comedy you love. Talk to someone. Not every senior has a large social circle, but even one meaningful connection, just one person you can laugh with or vent to, can make all the difference. And here's something else most people overlook: better sleep is one of the best ways to heal from stress. If you're waking up at night because of your prostate, you're already behind on rest, and stress builds up faster when you're tired. That's why all of these habits we've talked about, movement, hydration, eating better, less caffeine, don't just help your prostate directly. They help it indirectly too, by helping you sleep better and stress less. Now let me share one more story with you. This one still sticks with me. A gentleman named Harold came to me feeling completely defeated. He was 76, and in his words, he'd lost control of everything down there. His sleep was awful, his urgency constant, and he was embarrassed to go anywhere in public without knowing where the bathrooms were. He thought he needed surgery, but what Harold needed was a change in daily rhythm. We worked together to adjust a few habits. He began sipping water slowly throughout the day instead of gulping it all at once. He walked around the block every morning. He switched from coffee to herbal tea by noon. He added spinach and blueberries to his breakfast. And perhaps most importantly, He started writing in a journal before bed. Just 5 minutes to offload his worries. 3 months later, Harold walked into my office with a smile on his face. "Doc," he said, "I went to the movies last week, and I only got up once." Now that might not sound like much, but to him it was freedom. It was dignity. It was a sign that his body hadn't given up on him. And neither should yours. So let's recap, not with a list, but with a feeling. If you've been feeling out of control, if your nights are interrupted, if your bladder has taken over your calendar, you are not alone. Millions of men over 60 are facing these same struggles. But here's the powerful truth: your body is still listening. It's still capable of change. And every small shift you make, every walk, every sip of water, every skipped soda, every deep breath adds up. Your prostate isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for consistency, for care, for attention. And now, before we wrap up, I want to invite you to be a part of something that's making a difference for men just like you. It's called the Senior Health Tracker, a free app designed to help you monitor your fluid intake, track bathroom patterns, and remember your doctor's appointments. It's easy to use even if you're not tech savvy. And best of all, it gives you insight. So the next time you talk to your doctor, you have data, not guesswork. I've included the link in the video description. Give it a try. It might be the simplest, smartest step you take today. And finally, I want to leave you with this. You are not too old. You are not too far gone. You are not stuck. Your body may have slowed down, but it hasn't stopped fighting for you. And now, with a little help from you, some water, some movement, some rest, it can begin to heal. So take this moment as your turning point. Not tomorrow, not next year, now, because every day you choose to care for yourself, your body responds with gratitude. And remember, you're not doing this alone. You've got a whole community here. So I want to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these habits? Have you made any changes that helped? Leave a comment below and let others know what's worked for you. Your story might be the exact thing someone else needs to hear. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more advice tailored just for you. Here's to more restful nights, fewer bathroom breaks, and a prostate that finally gets the peace it deserves. Take care of it, and it'll take care of you.